Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching The Daily Report with my guest tonight, the Honorable Gathoni Wamuchomba, Member of Parliament for Githunguri constituency, who is also the chairperson, by the way, of CIOC, Constitutional Implementation and Oversight Committee. So as it stands, are we implementing this constitution as it should? And of course, your guess, your response is anyone's guess.
Yeah, we are completely out of the constitution alignment. And it is our duty as members of parliament, because our core business in the National Assembly is to oversight. And like you have rightly put it, I am the chair of the committee that oversees the implementation, whether we are rightly on course or we are off course.
Of course.
We are completely off course. One, it cannot be that after we made this constitution in the year 2010, I participated in the making of this constitution. I was very young. I think I was hardly 23 years old. I remember one meeting we did at the 844 hall when we were debating matters land, and I was kicked out of a forum by the chair of that subcommittee, chaired by the Yashpal guy. You remember Professor Yashpal
Yes.
guy? I don't know whether you were born then. And so I feel very, very... I feel a bit depressed when I see us running a government and we are blatantly not aligning ourselves to this constitution. You know, I'm sure you've heard such stories of people who have been abducted.
Yes.
You have heard many stories of people who have been arbitrarily arrested. You have had many stories of people who have been killed.
Recently,
and dumped.
207 bodies.
I read an article somewhere yesterday that there are very many bodies at the city mortuary, and those are unidentified bodies which apparently in the city mortuary were brought in that month of protests. But I want to speak because this constitution, Article 28, talks about human dignity, that every person has inherent dignity and the right to have that dignity respected and protected. That dignity includes when you're trying to arrest anybody, including myself. There is a style you're supposed to use to respect that dignity of that person, whether he's wrong or not wrong, because the only way to determine whether he's wrong or not wrong is when you present him to court. This Constitution, Article 29, I've just read 28. 29 says, every person has a right to freedom and security of person, which includes the right not to be, 1, deprived of freedom arbitrarily or without just cause. B, detained without trial, except during a state of emergency, in which case the detention is subject to Article 58. And many other form of violence that I cannot read. It is from A to F of this constitution.
Yes.
So I will also go to Article 31 that says right to privacy. Every person has a right to privacy, which includes the right not to have their person or home or property searched. You can't walk into somebody at 3 a.m. and search that person without a warrant of arrest, without a court order, right? Their possessions seized. You know, there are people who are reporting that once they are in the hands of the police, their phones are taken away. And then C, information relating to their family or private affairs unnecessarily required or revealed. When you flash my phone, for example, you take my phone and you flash, you want to know whom I spoke to, which WhatsApp message I got from George, how the pictures looks like. It's against this constitution. You can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, this is the constitution. If really we want to have a country tomorrow, we must abide by the constitution.
And these are vices that we've seen being...
Yeah, it's apparent. It's happening everywhere. The other day, I got some student telling me that their own university administrators are the ones giving out their telephone numbers and every detail of their student leaders. And then those student leaders are abducted and they are arrested and then their phones are flashed. That means when you go to the university gate, by the time you come in, somebody grabs you at the university gate, not at the police station, at the university gate. And then they search your phone, and then they read all your messages, and they delete all your messages. And that's a university administration, because apparently they've been told by the police to do that. I mean, it's not right. I mean, that person, even if he's a student, has their right enshrined in this constitution. So for me as a member of parliament, you can hate me or love me, but that is the constitution that we made to uphold the rule of law in this country. So if we cannot uphold the rule of law in this country, tomorrow we will go to anarchy. Tomorrow we will not govern this country. So the president and the Kenya Kwanza government must always remember, there is politics and there is governance, and you can't mix the two. Politics is politics, governance is governance. If the police are independent and they're supposed to do their work, let them do their work as directed by the Constitution of Kenya.
So does it mean...
So for me as a chair of, you asked me a question, yes. For me as a chair of a committee that oversights the implementation of the Constitution, I cannot keep mum when such things are happening in broad daylight, and we seem to have normalized it, and it is okay for people to be arrested, it is okay for people to be abducted. No, I don't think that is right. If we allow that to happen, then we are retrogressing back in the year 2001, 2003, 1999, when we used to have torture chambers, when we used to have people silenced even from the freedom of expression. So I'm just getting worried because this constitution has made Kenya a very special country. We were actually the mother of democracy in Africa. It's the only Kenya where people felt like our constitution upheld the rule of law and gave people the freedom that we yearned for many years. But unfortunately, it is now this year that we have started losing the gains and getting into bad books. Into bad books because I'm reading even international watchdogs are now complaining that we are suppressing the right to freedom of communication, the right to expression, the right even to movement. This is something that is uncalled for.
So did these protests, deliver something? The moment of protest, did it deliver anything that then, so much then that more subversion of this constitution in the way of those abductions, what the example you've given of the students, did it deliver a moment, one? And two, what then is the way out for Kenyans in all this?
First of all, I want to go to Article 37 of this constitution.
Right to picket.
The right to assembly, demonstration, picketing, and petition. I do believe that the Gen Zs were practicing the right to assembly, to demonstrate, to picket, and to petition. And all we needed to do is to give them the ample environment for them to present their public petition to public authorities in a peaceful manner. But the kind of restriction we put, especially to the Gen Zs that were walking towards Parliament, the restriction we did made it more chaotic. I remember there was a Sunday when the Gen Zs had gone to pray. I think they had gone to pray and to honor their fallen heroes. That Sunday, the police abstained from restricting them to the freedom of worship. And there was no single chaos in Nairobi, and there were very many of them. The minute the police tried to restrict, to bar them, I think they ignite some anger, and therefore a conflict always erupts. If we allowed these children to just petition, there are so many people who come to Parliament on a daily basis to petition Parliament. For example, for about 50 plus days, the doctors were on the streets. They kept coming to Parliament gates every other afternoon, and they brought their petition. Did we see people being killed? Did we see? Because they were allowed to bring their petition. So bringing petition to public authorities, to any public authority, including county government, it is within this constitution. And it is our constitution. So I think, for me, this demonstration have taught us some new lessons. One, in as much as we love and we respect our police force, our police service, let me call it service, although they have been behaving like a police force, because a police force doesn't reason. A police service do reason. A police force uses force on anything. We have realized and we have learned that we may need to go back to the drawing board and retrain our police officer from the thoughts and the perspective of a force to the thoughts and perspective of a service body.
Okay.
Because we transformed our police from police force to police service. Because we wanted them to treat Kenyans in respect to this constitution.
Service delivery.
But it looks like it is no longer service delivery. It's more of a force to push for whatever they want. So we may need to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves whether we have achieved, having invested the billions of money we invest with our police, have we achieved?
Nane is coming up based on that article of, exercising of that Article 37. First, as...
The only thing I have a problem with on the Nane thing and the Gen Z thing is that you can't keep on pushing and saying you are leaderless, you are, okay, tribeless, we accept. What is the other one they say, the formless?
Partyless.
Partyless, we accept. But you can't say you're leaderless, because now when you say you are leaderless, it means then many other thugs can hide within you and can execute their objective within you, because we don't know the leader, we don't know who is in charge. And even when it comes to issues of negotiations, for example, they had a golden opportunity. When the president said, I want to engage you on X, I wish they ran away with that opportunity. I wish all of them camped there. I wish they came out in their thousands numbers and spoke the same thing because they're speaking the same thing. But this issue of being amorphous is a bit confusing, and they may be demonstrating every Tuesday, every Thursday, and achieving nothing. I just wish, because they are adults, they can just agree. We need to have a group of us to go and negotiate on our behalf. But the way they are doing it, okay, I understand that maybe they are hiding from arrest. I may understand maybe they are fearing, being... The
leaders may be bribed.
Yes, the leaders may be bought off. That happens a lot in political arena. But I don't think they are going to achieve much, like I said, if they don't change their styles, because their style is already vulnerable to infiltration by other interested parties. And like you saw the other day when they came to the street and there were other goons that were also in the street, and you saw what happened. So that is a loophole. I don't know how they're going to take it, but I don't want to look like I am watering down what they have achieved.
Yes.
The Gen Zs have achieved, because finally we have somebody who can call out for opulence, people who can call out for corruption, people who can call out for misrepresentation in parliament. I think they have achieved quite much. Yeah, they have even told us not to overspend in churches. They have stopped us from the opulence that we show in churches when we go for those harambes. They've told us, stop it. And they're right, because if you earn 1 million shillings or less in a month, where on earth do you get 5 million every other Sunday to go and donate in church if you are not stealing? So those are some of the things that I think we should applaud them for. And we should also applaud them for courage and boldness. Yeah, they have shown us that they care about this country. So they have shown us that they care about the future of this country, and they are interested in generational wealth other than personal wealth. I hope you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I get.
They are very much interested in generational wealth other than just personal wealth. And some of them are children who come from even very, very able families. They are children who do not have a problem with food and dress and houses, but they went to the street because they are not interested in what is here. They are interested in the future of this country. And that's very commendable.
The president has been speaking about several things, promising compensation, going after those who were rogue elements in these whole demonstrations. As CIOC chair, have you seen anything in the way of goodwill? Do we need legislation? Whereas the promises are being made, what do we need in line with that constitution to be done so that we see, okay, fine, in the wake of these last 2 months, these promises have been kept in this manner?
According to the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, if I'm not wrong, about 60 young people have been killed for the last 1.5 months out of those protests and demonstrations. I haven't had the government come out very clearly on a compensation plan, because the president said during one of his addresses to the nation that the government of Kenya is going to do compensation. Even those that were in hospitals, we were told they are going to be taken care of, the bills are going to be paid, but we haven't seen any follow-up. We may not maybe grill them so much, especially on the medication bills, because you know now he has no cabinet secretary for health. So the PS may hide with that excuse and say, you know, I don't have a boss, so I may not be able to give a way forward. But George,
yes,
losing 60 lives is not just any other activity. This is a very serious issue, and it is our sincere hope that the police are going to allow people to express themselves without violence, because the police are the ones who are actually creating violence, like I said.
Okay.
If you bar people from doing what they believe is right, they will definitely protest and protest against you.
Against you.
So I hope the police will just make sure that they protect the protected areas where they do not allow people to access. For example, if the protesters want to go to State House, that's a protected area. If the protesters want to go to Parliament, that's a protected area. If the protesters want to go to Kenyatta Avenue, they are free to do so, because Kenyatta Avenue is not a protected area. But I think the police don't know what not to protect and what not to, you know, to allow. Because I wonder why a police officer would be engaging protesters on the tarmac road in Kenyatta Avenue. You can fight people if they come, for example, to this studio and say, this is a protected area, we are not going to allow you. But you can't fight protesters everywhere, including in the streets, including in their houses. We saw them follow protesters in pipeline estates. We saw them follow protesters in Upper Murema Drive, yeah, following even to the houses. So I don't understand to what extent the police are supposed to do it, but according to the Constitution, I don't think that is right. So we as members of Parliament have a duty to ask questions.
Okay.
And my committee that I chair as the chair of a
CIOC
committee that oversees the implementation of the Kenyan Constitution, we have a lot of questions to ask to IPOA. Who killed who? How did so-and-so kill so-and-so? And the other day I saw the chairman of IPOA protest saying that they are trying to get information from the police, they are not getting anything. It will settle down and we will get down to it.
But these reports, Mheshimiwa, I mean, what will they do when, as a committee, you sit and have a report? Shall we see proper action?
Well, all I can commit as the chair is that we will do our part.
Okay.
Our part is to oversight and ask questions. What happened?
Okay.
Who did what? That is our work. After that, it's upon the people mandated by this constitution, the judiciary, to take over from there because they are independent.
Okay.
It's upon the other bodies that are mandated by this constitution to take relevant and required actions.
Stanley is asking, should this parliament be disbanded or dissolved?
To be very, very honest, this is the most dummy parliament we have had for many years. Even before I was elected as a member of parliament in 2017, I worked very closely with the parliamentarians because, of course, I was on microphone and I needed to, you know, to understand exactly what was going on in parliament. But I can tell you this one is the most dummy I've ever seen. I mean, this is a choir where people sing songs in the name of making laws. And that really annoys me. We no longer have debaters of the late Shikuku of that world. We no longer have those debaters of the Koigi Wamweres. We no longer have the debaters we used to have, people who would really put facts on the table, the Jakoyo Midiwas of this world. And it is not that we don't have the materials. By the way, we have very good members of parliament, some of them very learned, some of them very able. But the environment created by the amazingly big numbers, controlling smaller numbers, is what is actually taking the independence of parliament and the neutrality of parliament away. Yeah, so we may need to change the way we've been doing things if we want to be credible.
Okay.
But the fact that the Gen Zs came into parliament to protest over our voting patterns, I think, to me, that's my opinion. You can crucify me for my opinion, that's okay. But to me, parliament was desecrated. And so we may need to redeem the image of Parliament. And the only way out, if we really need change, you don't complain when the food is on the table that the food is oversalted. If you realize the food is oversalted, you go back to the kitchen. The kitchen of lawmaking and decision-making is Parliament. So if really we need to change this country, pushing the president will not help us, because he is also acting in line with the laws. For example, if you accuse him of affordable housing, he will tell you, I'm not the one who passed the law. He will tell you, point blank, you, a member of Parliament, passed the law on affordable housing. I am just an implementer. Because presidency is very different from Parliament. So I don't know why people are complaining, oh, President Ruto has brought affordable housing. It is very, very punitive. But your member of Parliament passed it in Parliament. So even if you accuse the president, what do you want him to do? And your member of Parliament is the one who passed. You are accusing him of bringing punitive taxes, but he is not the one who passed the law. It is your member of Parliament who passed that law. So the problem is not presidency. I am not trying to sanctify presidency. He has his own weaknesses, very many, including being inconsistent in what he says. Today he says this, tomorrow he says this, the other day he says this, and you know his weaknesses. But if really we want to help him and to salvage this country into soberness, and we want systems to work in this country, deal with the kitchen of the problem. And the kitchen of the problem in this country, it is Parliament of Kenya.
Raila Odinga said the president called him to help him manage issues.
He's on the siasa.
So then your party, UDA...
Raila said he was called.
Yes. Your party, UDA, is it imploding? I mean, we've seen the efforts to unseat this and that, to get this and that, leadership of that party. What's happening in your party?
I don't know. I also don't know.
Are you a member of that party?
Of course, yes, very much.
But how come you don't know?
I don't know, because, you know, I am not the party leader.
Okay.
I am not the secretary general of the party. I'm not the spokesperson of the party. I'm also reading as you read. And then, of course, I'm not even in the WhatsApp group of the party.
Did you leave or were you exited?
I was exited long time. Last year when I voted no for finance bill. Yes, and then I also went public and I said, the cabinet that you people have insisted should be fired. I said it publicly, that if it was me being consulted over that cabinet, I wouldn't have passed it. And I voted no for it last year. Yeah. So it has been 2 years of wrangles and tangles, and it has been 2 years of voting consistently no over many things, because I felt like that's not the government of Pesa Mfukoni, the one we promised people. So I was accused of going against the party wishes. And for sure, you can, if you really know Gathoni, who Gathoni is, then you will understand me.
Yes.
I mean, for me, there are some things that just can't pass. They just can't pass.
How does, I mean, when you say I mean, who from the party? The party in general? Who exactly?
I mean, there are party members who feel like they are the prefects of the others. Yeah, they are the ones who control the WhatsApp group. They will exit you, they will add you, they will remove you.
I mean,
and they will brag in a funeral that I removed Wamuchomba because she voted no.
So how does
that doesn't bother me.
How does the party perceive your opinions in terms of the party leadership then? The party leader and the deputy party leader. Have you had a conversation?
I don't know. Yeah, I've had a conversation with some of them, and I looked like I'm isolated. You know, when I saw the president and the deputy president land in Githunguri, just after I voted no, and spoke in a way to tell my people, because Gathoni, your MP voted no, you're not going to get roads, you're not going to get maendeleo. I was like, come on. You are coming to tell my people that they're not going to get roads because I voted no? Is doing a road in Githunguri a token that you're giving me for free? No, we pay taxes. And by the way, if there are people who pay a lot of taxes, it's the people of Githunguri, because they are milk producers. And they milk a lot of milk. They produce a lot of milk. And that milk is taxed heavily. We are the biggest contributor in that tax basket. So you can't come and tell me because I voted no, I cannot get a road. Kwani road inapatianwa kama peremende? No. Roads are part of the development that I vote for in budget in parliament. And I can say no to a finance bill, not because the whole finance bill is rotten or it's bad, but there's one aspect of that finance bill that I don't like. And I have the freedom to vote no if I tell you to remove and you don't remove. Last year's parliament, finance bill, I voted no because of my farmers. Because I felt the finance bill was very punitive to e-teams. You remember the e-team?
Yes.
That e-team thing was targeting my farmers. And I felt like I cannot go and pass that finance bill when it has a punitive aspect to my farmers.
Yeah.
I voted no because I realized that finance bill put a lot of taxes on papers that are used for my tea packers. I have tea packers in my constituency who pack a lot of tea for value addition. I voted no, and I actually even complained even in the party. I said, you know, for me, I can't pass that finance bill. And people were called in State House, by the way, to go and discuss tea without me. And they went and debated on how they're going to improve on packing materials for tea. When the people left, the final Finance Act, the one that the court dropped, had the same taxes the president promised my farmers he has removed. You know where the problem is? The president promises, but he's not the one who passes. So he's just doing PR, but there are people behind him who are messing him up big time.
You've talked about the taxes. Let's discuss now the budget and, you know, all this fiscal conversation after this short commercial break. I can see your questions on our SMS line.